what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be solving questions 47 and 48, and this is from the SAT number 17. This is the April QAS 2019 test. So let's jump in. Let's see what we got. So 47 says here, based on passage 2, Meltzer and his team relied on what evidence to challenge the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis? And then we have our text down here. Just to give you a little bit of context, if you're sort of jumping in, is basically the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis is a hypothesis that basically an asteroid landed or it exploded, right, or impacted right outside of Earth and basically caused this long cooling period, which is called the Younger Dryas. And so here in passage 2, we have Meltzer and his team, and they're basically coming up with this competing theory, this competing idea about the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. So let's see what evidence they use to challenge this. So let's jump in. We're going to start with the text from 48, and we're going to go to 35 through 41. So that's over here. Proponents of the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis have claimed various kinds of evidence for the hypothesis, including deposits of the element iridium, etc., and magnetic particles in deposits at sites supposedly dated to about 12,800 years ago. So this is one that I think we can eliminate. The reason why is that it's offering no contradiction or no counter evidence against the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. It's just explaining why the supporters believe that it's true. Let's get rid of that. We got 41 through 45, which is, where is that here? This says these claims were sharply contested by some specialists in the relevant fields, however, who either did not detect such evidence or argued that the deposits had other causes than a cosmic impact. So this is pretty good because this is definitely telling us something about evidence that challenges the Younger Dryas impact, right? Here's why it's sharply contested. Here's something though. Here's a detail that we should notice here. And in sort of my 5-step method, the first thing that I mentioned is reading the question. And I say that it is a skill. It doesn't come up all the time, but it is important on questions like this. Because let's pay attention to what 47 is asking. This says, Meltzer and his team relied on what evidence to challenge the Younger Dryas hypothesis. So this means that not only do we need evidence that's challenging this hypothesis, but it has to be from these guys, Meltzer and his team. So if we look right here, all this says is that these claims were sharply contested by some specialists, right? Meltzer is not mentioned until down here where it describes and says who he is. So for that reason, it really can't be B no matter how good or how strong it is, right? Same thing with 45 through 48. Let's look at that. This says, for example, some say that nanodiamonds are common in ordinary geological formations and that magnetic particles could come from ordinary fires. This is sort of elaborating and expanding on reasons why some specialists or some people don't believe in the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. The problem is that this right here is also not something that Meltzer and his team believe. It's not evidence they relied on, so we get rid of C. That's going to leave us with D, which gives us 62 to 69. This says the team. Let's make sure that who we're talking about. The team is referring to here, David Meltzer, right? The team argues that when the quality and accuracy of the dating, which was based on radiocarbon and other techniques, is examined closely, only 3 of the 29 sites actually fall within the time frame of the Younger Dryas onset, about 12,800 years ago, etc. So this is definitely a good text here. It's telling us evidence that is specifically coming from Meltzer and his team, and it's telling us evidence for why they don't believe the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, or why they challenge it. So this is good. And basically, just to give a little bit of context, the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis, they're basically saying if you look at these Clovis sites, you're going to notice that there's all of these, the presence of all these different elements that are only come from asteroids. You're going to notice some burning on the ground, which maybe comes from wildfires. You'll notice that whatever. So they're looking at these sites, and there's all these evidence that supports the idea that an asteroid sort of impacted. But what's being said here is that Meltzer and the team, they argue that when you do the dating again, the radiocarbon dating, it's actually not in the right time frame that it needs to be in. So that's the answer choice that we need to look for, something about the time frame of the sites. So A says a reevaluation of the dates assigned to sites thought to display signs of the proposed impact. So this is basically the evidence they relied on. They reevaluated the dates assigned to sites thought to display signs of the proposed impact. So this could work here because this is what the text is saying so far, right? They redid the carbon dating, and they found that the dates were different from the signs of the proposed impact. Then we have B, which says the discovery of additional Clovis artifacts in a host of sites besides the 29 initially identified. There's nothing about discovering additional Clovis artifacts. Let's get rid of B. C says analyses showing that nanodiamonds can occur in geologic formations lacking indications of extraterrestrial impacts. This is basically saying that that there's nothing in the text that we just looked at that talks about nanodiamonds occurring here or whatever that is. So we can't get rid of that, or we should get rid of that. Then we have D, which says high concentrations of iridium that have been found in sedimentary layers beneath the proposed impact layer. So that there's these high concentrations of some chemical being found in there. This would actually support the hypothesis, but it's not in the text that we looked at. So we get rid of D, which is going to leave us with answer choice A for 47 and D for 48.